Hey guys, it's Danny. Today it is time for a brand new, not Orchids in Bloom, Q&A. I forgot what video I'm recording. Q&A session. I'm gonna respond to some more comments and questions you guys left in the comment section of my videos, particularly this one, but other videos as well. And as always, today's video is sponsored by rePotme.com, who offers you everything you could possibly need to properly take care of your orchids, from pots to potting mixes, accessories and fertilizers, and everything in between. I kind of spoiled the little poem there. But not only for orchids, but also for houseplants as well, such as cacti and succulents. So I'll link you to their website down below in the description. Feel free to check them out at any time. And I will also link you to the products that I personally love and use, and I hope you will like them as well. Right, so with that said, let us start. Next question from Gerald. Hello Danny, thanks for your videos. Thank you for watching. They are really helpful. I am very new to orchids and I have a couple of phalaenopsis. Where can I have a possible orchid growing outdoors identified? The various internet apps available are contradicting each other. Oh, the apps. The AI apps. It is growing between and on some rocks in my garden and it looks like a cattleya. Thanks in advance. Okay. I don't doubt that some apps will do a good job at identifying stuff, like Google Lens and stuff, but when it comes to orchids, like identifying the actual varieties and stuff, no, they don't do a good job. What does a good job is you. What you need to do is Google. And how, I have videos on this. If you feel like you want to watch one and you're interested, you guys, you can check it. I'll put it in the description. But what you need to do is Google. You get the orchid and Google its description. If it has long leaves, orchid, long leaves, and the flowers, especially the flowers. Orchid, monopodial or sympodial orchid with pseudobulbs and pink flowers. That's how you see mainly like the variety or species rather. And then if you want to see exactly what it is, you Google details about the flowers. Fluffy flowered, a pink, yellow center, magenta lip, fragrant. I don't know. You Google those things and you go and look through all of the pictures on the internet. All of the pictures Google shows you and see which one looks at least similar. Because if you see a similar looking one, maybe you can find the actual species or variety. So it's just Google. Fungus gnat. It's just Googling. I'm not into apps because, yeah, they're not so good when it comes to orchids. They can identify, I guess, like a tree. There aren't so many like trees in, I guess, the city. So Google knows. But when it comes to orchids, there are so many orchids. Google has no idea. Like these apps, the AI, the stuff. Unless you put in the keywords. Right, the naked orchid. Hi Danny, thank you for all your advice and I thank you for being a member. I thank you so much. I have a mounted Dendrobium nobile, which I'm considering potting in the new year, but I'm concerned about root loss, getting it off its mount. Do I have an option to pot it on its mount in a rectangular pot? Would that be an option at all? Yes, you can actually use the mount. Especially if it's not an organic mount, you can use the mount, put it in the pot, nobody will see it, nobody will know. Out of sight, out of mind, right? But if it's a wood mount and it's starting to break down, and you have to remove it, I would suggest you remove it. Soak the roots and then remove the roots. Maybe plan to do this when the orchid is producing new roots. When the new growths start and it's producing new roots, that's the best time to mount it. Dendrobiums don't really have sensitive roots, I discovered, and they hang on to their roots for a lot of years, unlike cattleyas. They actually have good roots. But an unmounting process can be very damaging to the roots. So if you decide to remove the mount, maybe time it. If you decide to keep the mount, and it's absolutely no problem to keep the mount if it's in good condition. If you feel like it's gonna break down in 3 years, it's okay, pot it. You're gonna change the pot in 3 years probably anyway. So assess that. You can do whatever you want. Yes, you can keep it there in the pot without any type of issue at all. It's absolutely an option and it's up to you. All right, a question from a lovely viewer. I'm new, 3 months and 25 orchids later. Wow, that's quite an ascent. Doing okay, thanks to your immense amount of energy, I feel educated and confident. I have a Vanda, Cattleya, Phalaenopsis, Tolumnia, Dendrobium, and Cyclia Oncidium. What makes me still nervous is how long can these orchids stay wet or damp? Is 1 week okay? Is 2 weeks okay? I want to use sphagnum moss, but I'm scared. All right, so what I said in a previous, I don't know if this will be in the first video. So, okay, I'll say it again. If your orchid stays wet for 10 days straight, I would say it's a little too much. It's a little risky. It can be problematic in time. If it stays wet for 5 days and 2 days it's dry, that's ideal. You water it every 7 days, everybody's quite happy, generally speaking, for orchids. It is not a perfect rule, but it is a rule that I feel is a good starting point and will work out for most orchids and most people. Should dry out within 7 to 10 days, I would say. That's a good starting point, and then figure it out as you go. I want to use more sphagnum, but I'm scared. Well, it depends how fast your orchid dries. If it dries in 2-3 days, I get it, it's a hassle to water all of them. I would consider using a little bit of sphagnum combined with bark to help you out. If it stays wet 5 days and then it's dry on the 6th, it's perfect. You don't need to do anything with your style. But again, it's something you need to discover. You need to make it work with your lifestyle. I'm just trying to give you like the safety rules, which they're not really rules, but it's just more like guidelines. Edit, second question. We have a second question. I have a phalaenopsis with really good roots, but nothing is happening above the medium. No flower spikes, no leaves. Current leaves aren't doing anything. They're not yellowing at least, but literally nothing is going on above the medium. Can something be wrong? There's literally no growth except for the roots. Well, you've been 3 months into this hobby. That is a second in the world of orchids. Orchids grow slow. Okay, not a second, 1 minute. They grow slow. In 3 months, your orchid really didn't have time to do much. They will bloom generally on new spikes once a year after a cool down, and they will use warm seasons to grow vegetatively. New roots, new leaves. You might not see that your orchid is actually growing roots. They might be in the pot. It's not doing anything spectacular, but it is doing something. It is surviving. That's enough for an orchid. So welcome to the wonderful world of orchids where things happen slow. Very slow. It's absolutely fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. If the orchid looks healthy, it's not limpy and stuff, don't worry about it. Just be patient and distract yourself with other things until the orchid decides it wants to do something exciting. That's why we all have so many orchids. Next question from Sophie. Hello Danny, thank you for teaching about orchids. I learned a lot. I'm happy you did. I have 8 newly acquired polychilus like Equestris is now polychilus, Bellina, Speciosa, Tetraspis and other including no IDs. Regarding the watering, I learned some orchids need to dry, some must not dry and others I just don't know. I found all this confusing. It is confusing and it shouldn't be. I'll tell you the short version. Can you tell us more about it? I wish I could aim for a middle ground, like a very short 24-hour drying period for all of them. Could this work? I keep 40% humidity in my grow space. All right. Well, I'll give you the first part of my answer, but then I read the ending. So the first part is, when should you be watering? Should you let some dry out more than others? No, let them all dry. They will maybe not all be dry at the same time, but they won't be very different in between them, unless one is still soaking wet, right? If they're at varying degrees of almost completely dry, it's fine. You can water all of them. You don't need to let others dry more than some. It's not so picky. We're not so nitpicky. I actually water mine at the same time. Some are dry for 3-4 days before I get to water them, just because I just don't have that time, you know? They're okay, they're drought tolerant. I have very drought tolerant species. If I have something that I know wants water, I just water it in between my waterings, like the habanerias. But you have drought tolerant species, even if they are polychilus types. Water them either just before they're completely dry, either when they're completely dry. You don't have to make separate schedules for either of them, to be honest, if you want a simple life. Now, you said you would like a very short drying period, 24 hours. If you're comfortable with watering every 24 hours, every day, consider mounting your orchids and they will get dry very fast like that. Or consider just using chunky bark if that's what you like. But be very careful in choosing this. When you have a small collection, it's easy to want to water and do stuff every single day. The bigger the collection gets, the more you will see that it's not humanly possible to give so much attention on a daily basis, and you will go for stuff that keep your orchid more hydrated for longer. So be careful what you wish for, but if you want something that dries fast and that's great with you, consider mounting orchids. They will like it. They will grow like downwards, very natural, very nice. Next question from L. Jones. Hi Danny, love the new hair. Oh, thank you. It's gonna get changed in the next few weeks. I'm going through stuff because I wanted things and I didn't know how to go about them, but now I know how to go about them, so it will go to a previous color I had that you guys know. We'll see. What was I saying? Very flattering, thank you. Wondering if you've ever had or seen a Phalaenopsis with totally different flowers on both sides of the same spike. I have one 5 years old, blooming now, doing that. It's gorgeous, shades of purples, look like Harlequin. Last bloomed in 2020, but all flowers were similar then. Now only 3 on one side look close to those. 2 on the other side of the spike are completely different pattern-wise, and 3rd just open and it's a combination of each pattern. So crazy, I can't find anything online like this. Amazed and curious. That is amazing. I can tell you that is quite rare. I've had an orchid once that had like half of the flower away and half of the flower a different pattern. These patterns are not stable in my opinion, and as you say, you will have some blooms that look like they once did, like last year, and others that don't look like that. It's an unstable gene. It is a mutation. Don't know if we should call it Peloria, but it is an unstable gene, and it can be really amazing in some cases. It's definitely not extremely common, not common at all. So you should absolutely cherish that orchid if you like how it looks, because you never know how it's gonna bloom. And that can happen even with flowers, and especially actually with flower shop Phalaenopsis, which have like a mumbo jumbo of genes. Yeah, it can happen. So congrats. I think it's wonderful, and it's definitely not common. It's possible, but definitely not common. Alrighty, the last question for today. Hi Daddy, I have a question but need to give some context. I'm ready for the context. I have 10 store-bought Phalaenopsis. A couple of months ago, I finally took 2 orchids out of a glass vase. They were given to me as a gift. I left them in it for way too long and they were in desperate need of care. I got the lights, sphagnum moss and fertilizer, feed me, all from rePotme, and followed all your direction verbatim. Repotted and cut all their roots. It wasn't my first time. As a result, they are both giving me insane amount of roots. That's what we like to hear. The one that I thought would die has 17 roots, ground, not aerial. The best type of roots. Well, ground, they're all aerial, but they grow in the medium, is what we mean. But all the leaves on both are very limp, dehydrated, no pests, no snails. They both have one new very healthy leaf grown, and very careful about watering. I can't find the answer to this question anywhere. Okay, should I be worried? What can I do? Hopefully this question will help somebody else in my situation. Thank you. I hope I'm not too late with the answer, but okay, depends. So there are a few things that might be at play here. Either the orchids, when you got them, they were already very dehydrated, so the older leaves, they just do not come back to their original glory, and it is what it is. They will still function, but not at full capacity. So what the orchids did, based on what you told me, is they focused on roots, and that's a good thing. Roots, in my opinion, are the most important when it comes to recovery, not necessarily leaves. Roots. So they focused on roots, they got that root system going, which is great, absolutely what we want to see. Everything is okay. If the leaves are not looking the best, it might be either because they were in such a bad shape, the orchid decided, nah, I don't want to rejuvenate these leaves, there's no point, there's too much damage, I'm gonna invest all of this energy that the roots are giving me into brand new leaves, which could be a little smaller than the previous leaves since we've been through stress. So it could be that it's just focusing on new leaves because the older leaves are way too far gone. That's one. Second, maybe you're not watering like soon enough. Usually if the orchids are dehydrated or stressed, they might need watering a little bit faster than a well-established root system or orchid. So if you're saying the orchids were already like in poor condition and they grew all of these roots, yeah, they might need water a little bit more frequent. So instead of letting them dry for 2 days or whatever, water them before they're completely dry. That will give them a boost. But I don't think you should worry about them. I've had Phalaenopsis that just refuse to rejuvenate their older leaves. And that's it. It's okay. I think they're on their way to recovery, and I think you're doing a great job if they're exploding with roots. That's what we want to hear. Leaves can come after. First, we need the roots. Righty. So that is about it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed today's video. And if I didn't get to your question, hang on tight. I will get to it in future videos. Thank you, rePotme, for sponsoring yet another episode. And with that said, I hope you'll have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.